Have you ever wondered how a single event can change the course of history? Imagine a sunny day in June 1914, when Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, was assassinated. This assassination, a spark in the dry tinder of international tension, would set the world ablaze. The Archduke's death was not just a personal tragedy, but a geopolitical earthquake. It shattered the fragile peace among Europe's major powers, leading to a series of diplomatic crises. Nations began choosing sides, forming alliances based on mutual defense and shared interests. The drums of war started to beat, louder and louder, echoing across continents. The tension mounted, the pressure built, until finally it could be contained no longer. From the assassination of a single man, the world was catapulted into a conflict of unprecedented scale and devastation. And so, as the world was plunged into chaos, World War I had begun. As tensions escalated, nations formed alliances, setting the stage for a truly global conflict. On one side, we had the Central Powers, a coalition originally formed by Germany and Austria-Hungary, later joined by the Ottoman Empire and Bulgaria. They were a formidable force, their shared borders creating a strategic advantage. On the other side, we had the Allies, a diverse group of nations led by France, Russia, and the United Kingdom. They were later joined by Italy, Japan, and, towards the end of the war, the United States. These nations, though geographically scattered, were united by a common cause. These alliances were not just about mutual protection. They were a way for these nations to assert their dominance, to stake their claim in a rapidly changing world. But with each new alliance, the stakes grew higher, the potential for conflict escalated. With these alliances formed, the stage was set for a war that would span continents and redefine warfare. Both of the battlefields of World War I were unlike anything the world had seen before. The landscapes of conflict were dramatically transformed by the widespread use of trenches, deep ditches dug into the ground to protect soldiers from the enemy fire. The muddy, rat-infested trenches stretched for hundreds of miles, creating a unique and chilling terrain of war. But the trenches were just one aspect of the new warfare. The Great War also saw the introduction of formidable technologies that changed the face of battle forever. Tanks, massive armored vehicles that could traverse difficult terrain, became a terrifying presence on the battlefield, while chemical weapons, particularly mustard gas, brought a new, unseen threat to the soldiers in the trenches. Life in the trenches was harsh. Soldiers faced not only the constant threat of enemy fire, but also poor sanitary conditions, disease, and the psychological toll of the relentless conflict. These conditions and weapons, previously unimaginable, brought horror and death on an unprecedented scale. While soldiers fought on the front lines, civilians back home were not spared from the effects of the war. Life on the home front during World War I was a tale of endurance and adaptation. In many nations, food and fuel became scarce, necessitating rationing. Governments had to balance the need to keep the population fed and warm with the demands of a war that consumed resources at an alarming rate. Simultaneously, propaganda machines worked tirelessly to maintain morale, painting a picture of the enemy as monstrous and dehumanized, all in an effort to justify the sacrifices being made. But the most transformative change was perhaps the shifting role of women. With men away at war, women stepped into roles previously reserved for men, from factories to farms, and even to the front lines as nurses. This shift would fundamentally reshape societal norms, paving the way for greater gender equality. Thus, the war's impact reached far beyond the battlefield, transforming societies and setting the stage for the world we live in today. After 4 long years of war, the guns finally fell silent. November of 1918 saw the signing of the armistice, a glimmer of peace in the midst of devastation. This marked the end of World War I, a conflict that had ravaged the world unlike any before. But peace did not come without its own set of complications. The Treaty of Versailles was drawn up in the wake of the war, a document that aimed to foster peace but instead sowed the seeds of resentment. Germany was left shouldering the blame and the debt, a burden that would prove too heavy to bear. This discontent would later fuel the fires of another global conflict, World War II. Despite the attempts at peace, the aftermath of World War I had far-reaching effects. The world had changed, and with it, the people. The echoes of the war reverberated through the decades, shaping the course of history. And so World War I came to an end, leaving a legacy that still resonates today.